Hello and welcome. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm joined by David Williams. We are ready for some vintage Super League. Welcome back, David. I know you've done some commentary, but you finally get to start shuffling up some cards again today. You looking forward to that?
I am excited. I'm excited specifically because of the new scheduling format. It makes it a lot more doable for me, having my daughter. I can just plan one night, jam-pack, get a lot of Magic in, and then I get to spectate the other weeks. So I've been excited watching the past 2 weeks. It's great. I've been waiting for this moment. It's kind of weird. Usually when you play every week, like in the past, you get excited, but it's not like that build-up, like you're just nervous or waiting. It's just like, oh, it's Tuesday, gonna have to play my match of Magic. But now it's like a big night. It's like a little mini Grand Prix or something. It's like, oh, my vintage tournament is tonight. I got to get ready. So no, I'm excited. I'm just gonna have fun, man. I've been playing vintage on Magic Online, just in the getting serious room, practicing. And it's funny because I don't usually do that. I haven't done that really since the last time I played the VSL, except for maybe here and there, just because I don't have the time to really put into it. But because of this, I made the time, and I had a lot of fun last night and last week. Each week when I watch Vintage Super League, I'll play some. It'll get me excited. So that has got me, feeling good about tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, good luck to you. We should look at the rest of the group. This is the third group of four, so all 12 members of this season will now have gotten their shot. You see David is back in the league. Bob Maher is also returning from a season off. Webb is back, David Ochoa, and Rachel Agnes, one of the winners of our play-in tournament this season. So quite the group queued up for this evening. The first match is going to be the one between Rachel and Bob, and then there'll be 6 matches over the course of the evening. Everybody will play everybody else. That's the format now. Groups of 4, full round robin each night. So a couple hours from now, maybe we'll have our first 3-0 of the season. We actually haven't had one so far. Each of the previous groups had a trio of 2-1 players plus an 0-3. I don't know. It's going to be crazy. If we run it back, if we get another trio of 2-1s and an 0-3, some 2-1 winds up in the losers group. I don't know how that would be. That would be kind of a bad beat. Not going to lie.
Yeah, that's what I'm rooting for. Besides, if I don't 3-0, I mean, obviously I want to 3-0 first. First, that's my first goal. But if I don't 3-0, I'm rooting for the 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 0-3. Just chaos, just to see it all. Just to see it be crazy and have a 2-1 playing with some 0-3s, possibly relegated. I just think it would be just interesting. I mean, I love this format, actually, though. It is cool, but weird that you could actually, because in the previous Super Leagues, you play everyone, play everyone once.
Yeah.
There's a good chance there's people you just don't play. And that's interesting. I mean, I kind of like it, so I don't have any problems with it. I mean, like I said, the schedule works out for me, so I'm really happy, and I hope this works out well, and we get to do it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure we had to make winning the group important. Like, it could have just been everybody plays, and then, okay, we do the next set of groups, almost like Swiss pairs or something, like top 4, next 4, next 4. I don't know that the specific group winners had to have this, oh, you're guaranteed a spot in the winners group, but whatever. I mean, we're learning. I do agree with you that I think the basic idea of groups of 4 has worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know on Twitter if you guys like it, don't like it.
It's created a lot of cool dramatic moments too, with the game counts mattering. I mean, I'm not a big fan of game counts counting over head to head if there's 2 guys. I'm just kind of a purist and feel like if you're tied with somebody and you beat them, then you got to be ahead of them. But we established the rules in advance, and I play by the rules. But luckily, it doesn't matter. We've had a 3-way tie, so it's cool watching like in that last match where it's like, Paul needed to win 2-0 or how whatever, just the different combinations where it makes every game count. So it's nice when every game matters, even in a format where you could just not even take a turn. So it's kind of sick. I like the variance.
It has been fun so far, for sure. Now, what are you looking for tonight? I mean, do you have reads on these guys? It's not like it used to be where you knew exactly who your opponents were and spent a lot of time putting them on a deck. In this case, we all 12 turned in our deck list before we knew who you were in a group with. But I don't know. I'm sure you've thought about what you think Rachel or Bob or Webb is on.
Well, I know what Bob is on. I'm not going to say. We're really close. We've been close for almost 20 years, and
that makes sense. You guys tested together.
Yeah, there was one in, what was it? I don't even know. I can't even think right now. But there's 12 people, so we figure what are the chances of being in the same group? Like what's 33% or whatnot. So we tested together because you got to have somebody to talk to about vintage with. And my usual go-to is Stephen Indian, but I didn't want to, he had a tough play-in tournament. I didn't want to go back to him. And I like me and Bob, Bob needed the help too, because his usual guy is Rodrigo, who's in the tournament. So we both were kind of needing, some assistance, a partner to test and talk vintage with. So I know what Bob is on, so I'm not going to say.
Fair enough.
I think Rachel probably is playing a mentor deck. I mean, she played it well. It got her into the play-in tournament. I don't see why you would veer off that if you know a deck and it served you well. So I would be surprised if she didn't stick with it. Maybe some changes and tweaks for what she puts us on or what she put the league on, but it's hard when you have 11 opponents. And then Webb is a wild card. I mean, I wasn't in the Vintage Super League when he was. I think the seasons I was out, he was in. So I didn't play with him, but I did watch, and I do know he had some success with Shops decks. I do know the Ballista Shops deck is great, if not the best deck right now. So I could see him playing that, but his range is wide open, and he literally could be on anything. But if I had to guess, I think that's where I would kind of put him.
Yeah, I thought of him as a guy who had a really wide range, but in practice, he's been playing a ton of workshop decks. I mean, it's almost hard not to put him on a workshop deck at this point, as he's been pretty consistently shuffling up the shops. That's
the reason why I think he might flip the script on us, because it's like, when someone's so predictable, it's a good moment to mix it up, but then it's a good moment to kind of not do that too, because they expect you to mix it up. So I really
there you get a good look at David. Pro Tour top 8 competitor, has played a ton of vintage over the years. This is the group where I think you can just play whatever you want because people can't metagame against you. It's the next set where you've actually got the metagame considerations of, what are they going to think I'm going to play? I think you get more bang for your buck at mixing it up in the second set than in the first set, is my theory.
True. And also, I just noticed you could change one word on this slide in a picture, and it would also apply to Williams.
Which word are you changing?
Change Ochoa to Williams. Pro Tour top 8 competitor, longtime vintage enthusiast, renowned prudence.
Fair.
Yeah. For me also.
We've seen more evidence of Ochoa being on the eating side rather than the cooking side, though.
Yes, that is true. And I'm no longer a sneakerhead, so we could take that back. But yeah, I agree with you about the decks. I mean, I really wanted to. I talked about I had a brew, and I can't say if I played it or not, but I will say it's tough to bring a brew to the first round. Like, this is a spot where it's like if you bring a dud and you 0-3, it's kind of crummy. I mean, it's probably better to do it here than the next set of groups, but we'll see if I brought what I said I was going to bring. I talked something amazing, and I like it, so I don't know what you guys will think. We'll see.
All right. Well, so that was Ochoa and Williams. The two Davids will be battling in our second match, but the one we're going to have queued up for you momentarily will feature Rachel and Bob. I'm sure we've got slides for them we can show you. There you see Rachel. It turns out writing a couple articles about how much you want to play Vintage Super League does get our attention, and gave her a shot in the play-in tournament, and she killed it. I thought both from the commentary side and winning with that mentor deck, like you mentioned. Earned her spot here, and we'll see what she can do now that she's in the regular cast.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not me, I'm rooting for her just because it's nice to see someone who has that passion for the Super League from like the fan side, which she clearly was, to kind of get this far and make it in. And then, like I said, if it's not myself, it'd be great to see her come in and crush and do well and maybe even win. So I'm a fan. The commentary was great. And, for someone who is not known to be a vintage player, like most of the players in the league are Pro Tour players or vintage players that are known. And she's kind of the only one that's not either of those. So to see her come in and hold her own is great.
Yeah, totally agree. So you're rooting for her, not Bob?
Well, I mean, Bob, I feel like Bob's had enough success. And Bob, whether he does well or doesn't do well, I think she would appreciate it more. And I think it would be a lot cooler to see someone new, like I say, who not on either side of the spectrums do well. Bob's had plenty of success.
Well saved.
He hasn't had very much Vintage Super League success, actually, though, has he? I feel like...
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, he's always kind of like the season I got relegated, it came down to like me and him, and he had to beat me to keep me last, or we would be tied with like 8 people. Right. And crazy.
Yeah, he has not made the playoffs. He has played most of the seasons, but has not made the playoffs yet. You see that Father of Four, there's a great piece, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it. The Enter the Battlefield guys went to Madison, and the piece that they showed during the Pro Tour, you can just go see it on YouTube if you want to. Just a great look at sort of Bob's life and his kids and Magic.
Yeah, it's Bob and me were talking about it the other day because he was just like, oh man, Courtney and my kids are watching something, and it was me. It was Into the Battlefield. He forgot they filmed it or just didn't know it was out yet.
Funny.
He was like shocked that it was on. So
yeah,
those guys are doing some cool stuff with Enter the Battlefield. I like it.
I agree. But speaking of cool stuff that's coming up soon, I mean, like I said, we should have Magic for you momentarily, but I hope everybody knows about this Magic Online Championships that is going to be covered Super League style. David will be there doing commentary. It's not this weekend, but next weekend. And this is the big, end of the year Magic Online Championship, $100,000 in prize money. The winner gets 25 grand, platinum, and an invite to Worlds. So quite the prize. And the field this year is kind of insane.
There's a lot of pro players in there and platinum players, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one tournament I really, really want to play so badly in Magic. And I wish I had time to play the Mox events each month, like the monthlies and whatnot, or even accumulate QPs to enter the ones that have to have that. Because that's a tournament I want to play. It's just too hard. Like, I think most of them are on Saturdays, and I have my daughter, and I can't tell my daughter, Saturday, Dad's going to be locked away on Moto for 7 or 8 hours. So
it is tough.
I hope
they do have open events for next year, though. Like, to qualify for next year's Magic Online Championship, there's the same path of get QPs to play the Mox monthly, but then there's some number of Mox open events as well. They expanded the field to 24 for next year, so maybe look at the schedule at some point.
Try to see if it's weird because whenever I do have a weekend where I don't have to be on parent duty, I try to go to a GP. I'd rather go to a live tournament and play a GP. So maybe it'll happen where maybe it'll line up and I can play a Mox. Then you got to win one, which is even tougher. I mean, that's probably one of the toughest Magic tournaments to win.
Fair. Yeah, I always look at, there we go. I didn't even know we had a slide for this. This is how you get to this tournament next year. We already know who the 16 are. We actually got our hype video is going to play during the breaks in tonight's show. So you can get a look at the field, but this is how you can get there next year. They up the prize money too. It's 200 grand next year.
Yeah, man, it's a sweet tournament, man. Like I said, it's one of the ones that I think I want to play the most of any time. I mean, obviously World Championships is great, but for me, I mean, that tournament it's the World Championships also. It's a Magic Online World Championships, and it's just I just feel the fact that you can qualify from home. It's perfect for it's what Magic needs.
Yeah, you can even do the commentary from home. Like I said, we'll have the crew of people playing is awesome, but the commentary crew should be great too. You're there, Patrick Chapin, Patrick Sullivan, who I haven't really had a chance to work with on commentary before. I think they'll be fun. Marshall, it's Chris Pakula is even
cool. Yeah, I like the group, and Reed Duke.
Thank you.
I think it's a great crew. I can say this. Bob was updating Magic Online, so I don't know if you heard if his update completed yet or.
Yeah, I think he is just now joining the. We also there was a technical issue with getting his hand cam connected, so it looks like hand cam is connected. Magic Online update is done, and we should have Magic momentarily.
I've been trained. Anytime I have a flight, I only book flights that have Wi-Fi. Like if they don't have Wi-Fi, I won't book it. But now I've been trained to always update Moto the morning before you get on your flight. Because so many times I've got on the plane, booted it up, and I'm like, an update that's 200 megabytes, and I have this crappy plane connection. Looks like I won't be drafting after all. So Bob is in New York, and I guess he didn't update before he took his trip, and he had to use bad hotel Wi-Fi. But always got to keep that Mitgo updated. It's the key.
Yeah. I hope his connection is good enough to get him on commentary. He's certainly scheduled to do commentary tonight.
His upload speeds were great. I gotta say, we shared video just to test it out, and he was crystal clear. Cool. Audio, video. He couldn't see me very well, but he could hear me. So we'll be able to see him and hear him. Whether he can see the screen or not, who knows?
Fair enough. One other thing coming up with Magic Online this week, I don't know. You've been playing about as long as I have, man. I don't know if you're looking forward to these throwback gauntlets. Did you see that? It starts tomorrow. I personally haven't been this excited about a Magic Online event in quite some time. I mean, I'm a little biased. I was the guy who put together the selection of decks, and it's also the throwback standard gauntlet that is going to debut tomorrow is exactly sort of my peak, right? Tempest, Urza Saga, so right before Urza Saga, Mirage, Tempest Standard. It was good.
Interesting tidbit. I actually have a deck in there. Brian Selden's Rexer deck, literally came from me. I didn't realize that. at the U.S. Nationals Grinder, those cards that were first legal. Exodus was first legal at the Origins that year.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I took the survival deck and I cut the survivals. I think I played 2 survivals, but I played 4 recurring nightmares and 4 survivals. And I remember I was showing John Finkel my deck, and he was like, "Why are you playing this card?" He said, "Just play more living deaths." And I was like, "No, this card is great." And then he looked at survival and he's like, "Why would you play this card? It's just card disadvantage." And I was like, "No, these cards are good." And I ended up grinding into nationals, and I had a pretty decent record. I got a match loss for like not registering my draft deck correctly, and then I got a draw. I mean, it was just a plethora of things to collapse. But Brian Selden, I knew Brian, and he was like, "Hey, let me see your deck." And I showed him my deck. He's like, "Is this deck good?" He's like, "What would you change?" I'm like, "I wouldn't play this Living Deaths. You don't need them." And I made a few changes, and then he showed up at Worlds, and he played it and won. So, I mean, I didn't design his deck, but, the conversation happened. I was the first person to register survival and recur in a deck, though.
Nice. All right.
I'm excited.
Enough about old Magic. Let's play with some even older cards. Let's head down to the first round of Vintage Super League.